in Python we can put function into a variable. And usually if we want to call a function, we will just write the name of the function and we'll add the parentheses and possibly arguments if those are required. So there's an example. We will have triangle area. I will pass in two values and I can print out the result of this function. But now if we only use the name of the function without the parentheses, I can put the function into a variable. So here I will use triangle area like TA. The first one was area, and I assign the result of this function call into the function into the variable area. Now I have a function. Okay, I use TA here. I will use x here. Those two are different in sense that here I actually call out the function and I get the result into this variable. But here I actually get the function. This is the function itself in this variable. If I print out the area, I will probably get 50 in this example. If I print out the x, I will get something like it's a function. There's no actual value for this x, it's just the type of this x is function. But what I can do, I can use the x now as the function. So I can do x 10 and 10, and I can put it also into area. So now what has happened is that this triangle area is a function, name of the function, and also the x points to the same function in memory. So if I call x, then it sees that, okay, this variable points to this function, and now it calls out this function with those values, and now it works as the regular function itself. So basically, even in the case where I declare a function, it basically kind of declares a variable which has the name of the function, and this variable points to the memory where the function is held. So what can happen is that, for example, I have this, I have a function, let's define a function dA, triangle area, whatever are the parameters and so on. And we don't care about the contents of this function. But what happens in memory is that there is a dA, and this points to memory somewhere. This is like a variable. This points here in the memory, and in the memory there's a contents of the function. So in my code I can print out dA and then 10. Now what happens is that first it has to find where the print function is, but before we can print, we have to calculate the value of this dA. And for dA, it finds, yeah, the dA is a variable which points to the function, and now it calls out this function. But what Python allows us to do is that I can do so, dA is equal to 10. Now what happens is that dA points to the memory where there is only 10. And now I will get print dA 10. I will get an error here because I cannot call out the integer or the number. So first what it does, it finds out that dA, okay, dA is here, and now it tries to call this function or this value. But because it's just a number, you cannot call it. But here there were specification how to run this function. So you can basically assign functions to variables, you can assign values to variables, you can overwrite functions in a way like I did here. So if I did this, I cannot access this function anymore. I mean, there are ways to do it, but not normally. So it's not wise to use variables the same names for the variables as you have functions. Also, one example is we often, I don't know, you want to write a function which calculates a sum or code which calculates a sum, then you probably define a variable sum is 0 and then you do something. But actually sum is a function inside Python. It's sum, you can have list of numbers here and it returns you the sum of those elements. So if you write a variable or if you declare a variable sum and you assign something into it, then you cannot use sum anymore inside your code. If you do it inside function, let's say there is a function f and you do write sum here, then actually if the function ends here, then this variable only lasts until the end of this function. So if I do sum here outside the function, then it also works, still works. Because I've only rewritten the sum for this part of the code. So all the variables you define inside the function, those only affect or last until the end of the function. So everything, all the variables here cannot be used outside of the function. So if you redefine or declare sum, then the sum function is overwritten, but only for this function. You can use the sum later on in your code.